All right, continuing our media availability here at Pocono Raceway with 3 NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers. We've got Matt Tifft, driver of the number 2 Tunity Chevy for RCR. We've got Kaz Grala, driver of the number 61 Nettis Ford for Fury Race Cars, as well as Christopher Bell, driver of the Rudd Meyer Supply Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. So, gentlemen, we've got a new package that we're going to be trying out heading into this weekend, very similar to the one that we tested in the All-Star race, very similar also to the one we tried at Indy last year. What are some of your expectations? Christopher, we can start with you and we'll go right down about what we kind of expect for the racing this weekend.
Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't super excited about the package change whenever I first heard about it, but after watching the All-Star race, doing some studying of the Indy race last year, and then all of Toyota simulations, I honestly expect it to be similar to how the trucks race here. The trucks have a bunch of drag, a bunch of downforce. They draft really good down the straightaways, but yet you still have some separation. So I'm expecting the Xfinity race to be something similar to what the trucks normally do around here, and if so, hopefully that'll play into my hands.
Cass?
I don't really know exactly what to expect, but it looks like it may be able to even the field out to some extent, maybe like halfway to what a plate race is, and those have worked out for me in the past, so hopefully it can play to my strengths and give us another good run for Fury race cars.
Matt?
I think for me, judging off of last year's race, being a part of that at Indianapolis, it certainly seems like you got a lead group and maybe a second pack in there. So I'm not sure how it's going to play out here. I think it's going to be interesting to see in practice how these cars handle through turn 1. I think 2 and 3 is going to be pretty similar to how Indy was, but you know, we had some side-by-side racing at Indy and obviously big moments there, but I feel like going down into turn 1 here, you're going to be able to get a little bit more side-by-side, and you got the making to hold you in more. So looking for those passing opportunities and trying to keep up momentum between turn 1 and turn 2 is going to be big. So we'll see what happens, but I definitely think it's going to put on a good show. It certainly has in the last 2 races with this, so we'll see what we got after today.
All right, we'll open things up to the floor here. We'll start with Zach. Then we'll go to Jeff.
Zach Sterniola, Pocono Record. Matt, you were the only one of the 3 of you guys who actually participated in that Indy race last year. What were your takeaways from that, and do you feel like that's going to be any kind of benefit for you coming into this weekend's race?
I mean, I think anything you can kind of get ahead of as far as the unknown of the package is definitely a big deal when you got something like this. So being a part of that Indy race last year, you know, I think I learned a little bit about what you need to do to pass, and obviously a place like that kind of parallels here with the long straightaways and needing to get runs. And one of the biggest things was with all the drag coming off these cars is timing your pass, because there's definitely that wake of air behind these cars. You need to figure out how to get around. So that was a big thing for me last year, was just trying to figure that out. But I think what kind of ended up happening in that race too was you almost had a road course strategy kind of come into play with short pitting and alternate tire strategies come to play. So I think you'll see a lot of that going on because I don't think you're going to see huge tire fall off or anything regardless here, but also having that package on top of it.
We'll go Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com for Christopher. You mentioned that you weren't initially excited about the package here, and they ran that somewhat similar package at the All-Star race for Cup. And now the fans liked it enough. It seems like NASCAR is wanting to maybe go that direction a little bit more. As somebody that's come up with your background dirt racing-wise, where it's totally in the driver's hands, it seems like this would be so much more like of a drafting type series if it went this direction. How do you feel about that direction for NASCAR, and does that give you any concern going forward?
Yeah, it does. I'm really, really cautious of, you know, I hate speedway racing. Speedway racing is not my forte, not my favorite deal. But you know, this is a package that we've known we're going to have for Indy, Michigan, and here. So I've been trying to keep an open mind in it. From our simulator runs here at Pocono, we cannot go wide open around this racetrack. So I think this place is, like I said earlier, probably going to race more like a truck race where you're going to get big draft runs down the straightaways, but there is going to be some separation because you still are somewhat handling affected if our simulation is right. But, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that we're not going to see this at racetracks where, mile and a halves or anything like that.
And we'll go to Zach up front.
Zach Tain's already kicking the tires.net for you, Kaz. A top 10, for the first race for Fury race cars. Pretty big surprise for everyone else. Was that what you were expecting on debut, and what are you really looking towards going towards these next few races with the team?
I definitely didn't expect it in our debut. I knew that everybody at the team was capable of doing that, and I knew that at some point we'd be able to run in the top 10, but I think it kind of surprised even us that our first race out of the gates we were able to do that, and not only finish there, but the whole stage 3 pretty much we ran between 9th and 11th, so we were right there on legitimate speed, so that was pretty cool for us, and I think it's a good boost of confidence and momentum for the whole group going forward. And like we've discussed, we don't really know what to expect this weekend and next, but at least we've got some positive vibes on our side, and so we're digging as hard as we can, trying to figure this package out.
We'll go up front.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Christopher, for you, you said you think this package is going to be similar to the trucks race. You won the trucks race here last year, so is that encouraging for you? Does that help you going into this race on Saturday?
I mean, that statement was based purely off of how our simulation raced in the simulator. So if that's the case, then I mean, hopefully it'll play into my hands. The thing about truck racing is, I've been here twice. I came here my first year and struggled, and then I came here with Magic Rudy Fugle and was really, really fast. So, it's all car dependent still. The more downforce, more drag, the more on throttle time you have, the more car dependent you are, and that's something that I'm not a fan of. And Pocono is a place where I would have loved to get to run here without this package because it's a very unique racetrack, and I feel like driverability has a lot more to do with you're a lot less car limited with less downforce, more motor. But we're not doing that this weekend, so I'm trying to keep my mind open.
Go ahead, Henry.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Christopher, one of the complaints that some of the Cup guys have had about the package was it was almost too easy, that there wasn't really a distinction between the better teams and better drivers and the middle rank or whatever. Is that part of the issue for you too? Is it makes sort of everybody too equal?
Yeah, that's 100% the issue. You get, we're all race car drivers. We want to show that we're the best, and you can't do that whenever you're not pushing the issue of the tire, whenever you're not grip limited. Whenever you're not getting the most out of your race car, it's just a different style of racing. It almost becomes more of a chess racing, so to speak, like you see at speedways. So, race car drivers, they like to push the car to the limits, get the most out of the race cars, and with this package, the way that the cars are, the way the tires are, you're not typically pushing the issue of the tire or the issue of the car. Like I mentioned, we are having to lift here at Pocono, though, so that's a good step. And hopefully we'll see some big draft runs. That's the goal of this package, and then maybe the good guys will still succeed.
There goes Zach.
For either Kaz or Matt, do you guys have those same kind of reservations or hesitations with this package? Do you feel like it's almost too much of an equalizer, or what are your takes?
I feel like moving up to the Xfinity Series was kind of an advantage for me over the Truck Series because I had more direct input and more influence on the outcome of the race. I think that's my strength. So I do worry that maybe this takes some of that away because last year I did much better in the ARCA race here than the truck race for that exact reason. But like Christopher, I'm keeping an open mind, and hopefully my car will be strong enough to not have to worry about that, because if you've got a strong car, you're not complaining about that.
I think that's the bottom line. Like between all of us, you're kind of tying your hands whenever you take downforce or add downforce remove horsepower, you're like, okay, is my car fast? Is my car not fast?
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line. I mean, you can kind of even look at what the Xfinity Series did between 2016 and 2017. You know, we have a similar package with the splitter and spoiler that we used to have here. So, you know, then you take away all the power. I don't know. I guess there's the two sides to it for sure. I mean, there's the equalizer to put on a show, and then like what Christopher said, I mean, as race car drivers, you want to have those tracks to where you feel like are suited to your driving style, and like he said, that's where you're pushing the limit out of the tires and stuff. And I'm curious to see where this evolves to, if we do go to different tire compounds and things that kind of give up quicker, or if we kind of still stay with that equal mindset. But nobody really knows until we go and do this tomorrow. You know, it's been a trial for Indy, and that's such a different racetrack than Charlotte, and this is another different racetrack too. So these next 2 weeks, I think, are going to be a good indicator of where this will move the sport going forward. But I think it's too early to say right now where this is really going to take us.
I'm sure the racing will be good as intended. I'm sure it's going to be very exciting to watch. I think we're all just biased because we like to have more control in our hands. But I'm sure the package will work out the way it's supposed to.
All right. Any more questions here on the floor? Nope. All right, gentlemen. Thank you and good luck this weekend.